Assalamu alaikum. This is my presentation for the final year project of MCOM 499. My project type is a research thesis, and the topic of it is an analysis of public awareness of PECA 2016 and its effect on freedom of speech in Pakistan. The research type will be a mixture of qualitative and quantitative to give a complete picture of the topic. The table of contents and the layout of the study is as follows. This will of course be followed by the title page. The abstract, the introduction, the theoretical framework are already done, and after that, the literature review will basically establish a timeline of violations of freedom of expression and the practices that were developed during that timeline and how it shaped the digital sphere as well, and how now it's being used through PCA to further suppress and create more violations of freedom of expression, and how freedom of expression and violating freedom of expression translates into violations of human rights in a society. So let me take you through the abstract and the introduction first. So the abstract basically gives us a basic layout of the study and what it's about, and what the research questions are, and how these research questions will be answered through a combination of qualitative and quantitative analysis, and how different aspects of this study, for example PCA, and how freedom of expression is being violated by the PCA, and how we got here, how we got to the PCA, and how what its predecessors were like, and this part will of course change after the quantitative analysis is done. The next part is the introduction. Introduction basically gives us a layout of freedom of expression in the context of Pakistan and its constitution, and how it's not absolute, and how there are different factors that influences it, and how because of it there are certain problems in our system, and this will again just end with the basic layout, and how this study will progress and how it will form its conclusions. The theoretical framework basically highlights the different concepts that will be used to give sort of context to our study. This will have some liberal leanings with a more centrist approach, which will assume that freedom of expression is a basic right of every citizen, and how that is being violated by a very authoritarian view and a very authoritarian government who's using punitive laws instead of regulatory laws to do unconstitutional things, and sometimes make constitutional amendments that they use to exercise positive morality, and how this is done in the veil of national interest and sanctity of Islam by exploiting the cultural and the religious context of our country. So here we are. After these, the next chapter of our qualitative analysis will start with us forming a timeline of the violations of and the practices that were formed from the get-go in this subcontinent. This will of course start with the colonial times. We'll establish a short timeline of that, of all the violations that I can find, and then we'll move on to the developing years of Pakistan, and how the three major eras and the three major dictators basically laid out how we did that, and how Zia-ul-Haq was the epitome of violation of freedom of expression and human rights, and this will basically end with General Pervez Musharraf granting media freedom. Then we'll talk about the different laws that govern media, the freedom of expression. This will, of course, include both media laws and the Pakistan Penal Code, and this will discuss how all of these laws are either blanket or punitive, and how it should be regulatory instead, and how, because these are blanket laws and they contain certain loopholes, how this leads to violence sometimes, and the violations of human rights. The next part is the constitutional perspective regarding freedom of expression, and this part has almost been done as well. I'll just take you through it, and so here it is. Basically, it will just take us through what the freedom expression is in our constitution, and how it is not actually absolute, and how different cultural, religious, and national interests color this very important human right, and how it is disregarded as being a Western concept that is not relevant to Pakistan, and this will basically just take us through the different loopholes in the constitution, and how it leads to violence sometimes, and how uh, it is basically hindering our country, because without the ability to ask questions, and without the ability uh, to have a very transparent relationship between the government and the people, there can be no oversight, and uh, there can be no there can be no progress in the country. In this, we'll also discuss the right for information, which is a subclass of freedom of expression, and how it is that is being violated as well, and that is basically the core of the transparency argument. Let us move on to another chapter. Then we'll go on to define freedom of expression in the digital sphere of Pakistan. Uh, this will highlight all the key events that happened during the digital during the formative years of formative years of the digital sphere of Pakistan. These will include very infamous incidents, and the different decisions that the government took that gave a very bad image of the digital sphere of Pakistan in the geopolitical scenario, and how finally uh, that was cemented after APS, and how in lieu of the terrorism activities in the plans for the government to eradicate the terrorism, PACA was one of the products of that. The last chapter of our qualitative analysis is about PCA, a violation of freedom of expression, and that I have started working on as well, but it's not complete. It will basically analyze the bill itself, and how different sections or articles of this bill are considered violation of freedom of expression, and it will discuss different viewpoints of different uh, opinion leaders about this bill, and it will analyze different unconstitutional articles in it as well. It's almost done, but it's not complete yet. Uh, Now let's move on to the last chapter, which is the quantitative analysis of the awareness of people. Now, since the whole hypothesis of the study was that the authoritarian state exercises its power to suppress people, and the best way to do so is to keep the people unaware, a practice that was adopted during the colonial times. So this would be analyzed through a quantitative analysis, which would be an online survey, and this will basically analyze if the public understands what freedom of expression is, if the public understand what PACA is, and it will also analyze if the government did enough to spread awareness about different laws and especially the PACA. The demographics and the age of the participants are mentioned here. It will be bilingual. That is in order to get a very diverse set of responses, so we can get responses not only from the privileged people who understand English and are educated and maybe have a much clearer understanding of freedom of expression. It will also include people of less privileged situations, so you can get a more diverse more diverse set of opinions. Uh, from this, the sample size would be about 300, and then that would be analyzed through SPSS and compiled and tabulated in graphs and tables. The survey questions of this questionnaire are compiled as well. These are also submitted to the supervisor and will be finalized soon, after which it will be incorporated into Google Forms, and I will distribute it through social media or other mediums in order to get maximum responses. These are in total 15 questions, and there will be 16 questions, and they will be spread through the social media. Currently, I'm done with two chapters, and the complete layout and the research as well. The bibliography is also complete with some recent new additions which are currently unsorted, but the rest of it is sorted according to the APA format, and and it's quite complete. There are only very few new new additions. The timeline of this is presented before you, and hopefully I'll complete it by way ahead of time and through proper approvals and submissions, so there are no problems. So that's my presentation. Thank you for